Okay, hello and everyone. Welcome back to the next session of the Ahmedabad Design Week. Now we have with us Mr. Mahendra Chauhan, the head of design of watches, wearables and accessories from Titan Company Limited. Mahendra is responsible for creating product lines for all the brands and sub-brands of Titan, Fastrack, Sonata and Nebula. His work has won international accolades like the Red Dot Design Award, Raro Design Excellence Award, and Philips Award for Innovative Lighting. Mahendra is also a member of India Design Mark jury, a speaker at the CII Design Summit, and a speaker at the India Design Mark Bangalore. Today, he will talk about designing time and cover a brief history of time in a very metaphorical yet visual way. So over to you, Mahendra.
Thank you, Ananta, for introducing me for this session. Well, it's absolutely my privilege to be part of this Ahmedabad Design Week. Ahmedabad as a city has a very, I would say, close relationship with me. I've studied design in the city. So anything which is Ahmedabadi, it's really close to me, including Ahmedabad Design Week. So today I will be talking about something which I am really passionate about, and which is designing time. This is what I'm doing from last many years in Titan, and I'm really passionate about this. Anything which relates with time, anything which relates with timekeeping, it's my passion, and luckily it's my job. And I was, in fact, I would say fortunate enough to design some of those stunning watches, stunning collections which you see in the market in the Titan brand. So I would say that you are in safe hand when I'm presenting this, because I know this subject very well. Well, what is time? I think the dictionary meaning of time is really complex. It's a non-spatial, I would say, continuum, which is expansive, which is limitless, which you can't bind. It's having no boundary. In a way, it is very, very abstract. It's something which is, I would say, beyond our senses. I have never seen anything, or at least witnessed anything, which is as abstract as time is, because you can't even touch, feel, and see the time. You can only experience the flow of time, how probably a day turns into a night, and turns back again into day. So this event of change, this change of an event, change of probably lighting condition, change of temperature, change of humidity, is probably the truest reflection of what time is. So in a way, it is really fuzzy, and that's why it is really abstract. Very famous philosopher Richard Dean, and he has quoted so beautifully that time is fuzzy. It's a very slippery thing. You lose hold of it once, and that string might sail out of your hands forever. And it's so true. And probably because of this nature of time, everyone wants to tame the time. Everyone wants to control the time. So in my slide today, I will be talking about certain facets of time which are really unique to you. And in this journey, I will also show you how time has evolved. So I will take you through a journey of time also in my slides. So everything started here, and this is 3,500 years ago. I'm talking since 1500 BC, probably slightly more than that. This is a very beautiful artwork done in sandstone. It's still displayed in Cairo in Egypt Museum, and this is a reference of Nefertiti's daughter. The artwork name is Nefertiti's daughter, and what you see here is obviously the queen, Nefertiti's queen. She's playing with her daughters, but what you see here, which is so stark, is the sun, which is right there in the center of this artwork, in this mural. And sun has these radiating rays and some really interesting scriptures which are engraved in the sandstone. And people believe that these scriptures are representative of cyclic patterns of nature. And it says that, nature is powerful and it supports us, it can kill us, and that's the power of nature. In fact, this artwork is considered to be a beginning of a new era in Egyptian civilization, which was revolving around sun god. And it's also a beginning of a cosmic time and celestial time in probably history of human evolution. So Egyptians were, their life was revolving around sun god. In fact, they were the first one who have created this shadow clock. And I'm sure most of you are aware of what clock is. It's essentially a sundial which helps people to measure time. But Egyptians have done that not to see time. They have created this object, and this is considered to be the first time object available, at least till now, whatever is excavated, first time object. They have designed it not to see time, but to measure working hours of people, working hours of slaves, who were working with kings and pharaohs of that time. And so all those majestic temples of pyramids which you see in Egypt, the working time of those slaves were calculated by similar shadow clocks. So in a way, this was also a beginning of very, I would say, authoritative time, where the concept of time has changed and a lot of power and authority has started coming in this whole picture of time. And although forms of shadow clocks have changed and modified, they were earlier round, and in various other civilizations it becomes square, and it has taken to new forms, including in a form which is like this, which is obelisk, which is there in Russia. But the fundamental reason why these things were created was essentially to measure celestial events, but more importantly to measure working hours of people who were, working with kings and pharaohs. But one good thing happened with this form transition, which is from sundial to obelisk, what you see right now on the screen, that these units have started integrating in a larger architecture of Egyptian civilization. So it was the perfect integration, I would say, with respect to time, space, and architecture. And because they started getting installed in public spaces like public squares or even in front of temples, a lot of people have started participating in this time activity. They were participating with shadows, the obelisk is forming, they started participating in various celestial events because the time has moved away from the clutches of kings and queens using the people who are using those small shadow clocks to a larger purpose. It's become part of your social fabric. It's become part of the city fabric in a way. So there was I would say, transition of the concept of time in a great way. In fact, it took 2,500 years, close to that, from that obelisk which I'm talking about, which was there in Egypt, to transform into a tower clock, which you all must have seen in European civilization, and most of the European cities would have a nice tower clock. It took 2,500 years, but one thing which remained unchallenged in this journey of 2,500 years is that time is participatory. The time is for public. And definitely that was a very welcome change. And from an instrument of power or authority, it has become probably an instrument of participatory, instrument of very experience-driven time. So this was a beginning of I would say, a new era, which I call it participatory time. And as Roman civilization, flourished in rest of the world, and especially in Europe, kings have become really rich, and for them, these tower clocks, they had become a part of a status symbol. Okay, if you have money and you'd like to flaunt it, and kings used to flaunt it using constructing of these nicer, really meticulously detailed tower clocks. And one which I'm mentioning here is a part of a Venetian plaza, uh, and this is supposed to be most beautiful tower clock ever constructed. It has these gold gilded figurines, extremely complex celestial mechanisms. They were only talking about mastery of mechanism, mastery of, I would say, artwork. And for them, time was not measured in just passing of hours a minute. In fact, the next image, this image is showing you a very majestically done clock which is there in Prague, Czech Republic. And this clock is really famous because it has this small figurines which you could see probably on left and right side of the clock. They move around, they toss, they swivel, and there is a sort of, I would say, highly orchestrated, highly beautiful experience, which people get out of seeing this. So it was more of a theatrical experience rather than just passing off 1 hour, 2 minutes or second. And people used to gather in these squares to see, passing of that hour. So time has become very participatory. Time has become really experience led and experience driven. And this clock still attracts a huge number of crowd. And this is in recent time how people gather just to see, just to witness the time change in this clock. So this is definitely, I would say, a very golden era of timekeeping. From instrument of power to authority, it has become an era which is really golden. People used to love and participate in the time. But then I would say something happened, and that's the boom. Uh, and this is invention of spring. Okay, so somewhere in 1500th century, in a very small town in Germany called Nuremberg. Now the town has become big, but very small town back then. One person called Peter Hellen has invented this sheet metal which has this unique spring kind of property. And this small component could disrupt the overall watchmaking, the beautiful everything architecture which was associated with towers in such a great way nobody would have ever imagined. Because this spring, what it does, that it helped Peter Hellen to store that energy in a gear form. And in fact, he was the first person who has created this portable, I would say, clock, although it was not that portable in that time. But what he has done, he has taken that spring, he has converted that energy, and the gears used to take that energy and transfer into hand movements. And so the whole transformation of the energy from spring to gears to hands, he has created the first ever pocket clock. So this was, I would say, a beginning of a new era of timekeeping, which was, I would say, very personal. And this personal time has killed the majestic, beautiful tower clocks, the old beautiful European tower clocks which you have seen. So one small invention, one material invention can redefine that whole timekeeping industry, and this is a perfect example of that. And then most of the Swiss guys, which we all know, whether it's Patek Philippe or Omega or Breitling, they all have taken that small mechanism which Peter Hanlon has created. And obviously they have added their skill set, they've refined it, they've given the beautiful craftsmanship and created the amazing Swiss and German watch brands which we all know. And so this was the journey of, I would say, timekeeping. And in fact, exactly 32 years ago, Titan was born on almost on same ideology to give personal time to millions of Indians. And so Titan, the purpose why Titan was established by our founder, Mr. Zed Desai, is to provide personal time to millions of people, and almost the same ideology. And now we are world's fifth largest watch company.
Excuse me, Mahendra.
Yeah,
Hi, sorry to butt in.
sure.
Could you please turn on your video and continue?
Really? 1 minute. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. Please continue.
yeah. So that was the birth of Titan in that way. And when things become really personal, and in this case, when you start designing something which is really personal object or personal accessory, that particular object, uh, starts, narrating your life experiences. It becomes part of you. It becomes part of who you are. And in following few slides, I would take you through my journey, my team's journey in narrating beautiful life stories and how we convert these life stories into watch design. My first take on this facet of time is essentially delightful time, and this is a very interesting story. Many years back, we as a team, which is the design team, which I head now, we went to one chocolate workshop, and purpose of that, the trip was essentially to have a fun, essentially to have a, I would say, have a work-life balance. So the trip, we went to this chocolate workshop in outskirts of Bangalore, and we started melting these dark chocolates and created our own molds and started pouring them into beautiful forms, which we should call it something which we have designed. And and that whole journey was so enriching. I would say so beautiful that it has created a spark in us to create a collection which was inspired from chocolate, and which we call it Raga Chocolat. This launched a few years ago, but one small journey into a completely different category could spark off very interesting design collection, and Raga Chocolat is really great example of that. And the watches which have come out from that, they were really organic, very soft, just like a molten chocolate flowing here and there. We have experimented with some really interesting plating colors. We've experimented with brown plating colors, light brown plating colors, and all of these have come together to define this beautiful collection called Raga Chocolat. Something which is as wild as this collection, and Titan is a great example which puts design at the forefront. Something like this, such a wild collection, has done amazingly well commercially, and that is the beautiful story of Raga Chocolat. Textures which you see on the dial, they are, it's a new word, I would say, that in terms of form generation, which is yummy, and which people talk about interesting adjectives, but this is something which is really yummy, really delightful. And this collection has done exceedingly well for us because it was such a fresh take on concept of being delightful. In fact, this year, last year, we have done a collection called Moment of Joy, almost on the same ideology, almost on the same principle of delightful time. And the beauty of this collection, that it was designed in a way that all the elements of this collection could be played with, you could interact with. They have this fidgety character built into it. In fact, the watch which you see here, the links could be rotated, and the moment you rotate those smaller units of the link, you could see a different kind of form factor, different kind of texture. Every unit was very fidgety in a way. You could rotate, you could play with it. Uh, this watch, which has won various awards, and also we got multiple patents on them, essentially uses this really fine Swarovski crystals behind watch dial. And as you move your hands, these dials, these crystals could trickle down from here and there. They create a beautiful, mesmerizing sound. And created a lot of engagement with the user. Uh, this watch, which you just by a twist of your bezel, you could change the character of the watch. You could make it really glittery because those stones which are studded behind the bezel could be, enjoyed the moment you twist the bezel. So various smaller details had created this collection. It's a different watch, which is very different from what we've done a few years back in Raga Shokala. But again, the concept of delighting, concept of enjoying every precious moment was the core of this. In fact, this has also won various awards for us, where the fine Swarovski crystals, and they're really fine 0.8 mm crystals, which we have sandwiched them between two layers of sapphire glass. And as you move your hand, these crystals, they just trickle down, create a very playful, unpredictable movement, which is the beauty of this. So this is our take on a delightful time. In fact, we have done again very interesting collection called Maritime, and people who follow our watches will know that this is very recent collection. We've done it last year, and this is this has evolved from a fact that what we have seen that a lot of Indians they are going on sea travel these days. In fact, if you see the data, and you'll be surprised that in last 4 years, close to 300% increase happened on sea travels from Indians, and a lot of people are going on cruises. And I think the very reason people are going on these sea travels or sea cruises essentially because it offers them luxury, because cruises are essentially epitome of luxury, but also it offers them a thrill and adventure because deep sea is mysterious, and everyone would like to experience that the whole mystery part of it. So we thought, why not take this whole experience into a very different level? And what we've done that we have taken a story called Age of Discovery, and this is the era where Columbus and Vasco da Gama, they started exploring the world in their small boats, and the whole experience was so thrilling, so adventurous. We thought we'll take inspiration from this, and we studied the significant voyages which these guys have took, those real famous explorers. We've studied the famous ships which they have used, whether it's the Saint Gabriel or Victoria. Studied them in great detail. In fact, we've purchased certain ship, real small models, broken them, saw the constructions, and also we've studied those old Carta maps. Those are the traditional maps which travelers used to see when they were exploring the world. So a lot of work which happened on the background, and we also studied the navigation techniques and equipments which people have taken while they were exploring the world. And all of this, okay, are given us a sufficient understanding and inspiration to create a set of watches which we call the Titan Maritime. And one of them is this, which takes inspiration from the compass, and a very, very complex mechanism, which you are seeing it on your screen. It has 3 layers of dial construction, and second hand is very uniquely designed so that it gives you that reflection of compass. Every element of the watch has a story to narrate, and that's the beauty of this collection. This watch takes inspiration from the really massive sea waves and the way we have conceptualized. Even if you see the second hand is inspired from those handles or the ship wheel essentially. Every smaller details of the watch narrates the story, and this is the story which we would like to convey to people. Again, this one we took an inspiration from an object called sextant, and this helps people to position their vertical horizon distance while they are on sea voyages. And we have taken that inspiration, converted them into really beautiful watch. Again, a very sophisticated construction in terms of dials, in terms of multiple layers of the disc, which are all coming together to define this. So we have a small video, and yeah, there's also another, again, very high-end watch which we have taken, which inspired from Caravel. So this is the ship, the small ship which was used by, at least believed to be used by Vasco da Gama when he took the world, when I started exploring the world. So we got inspired from this ship, its construction. This is purely a wooden ship, and it has a very unique construction. We got inspired from the construction of the this small boat, and crafted the side of the watches in a way which is having the fine knurlings and fine grooves, and the dial is made of genuine ebony wood, just to create the look which is really authentic. This watch also has a Japanese automatic movement. So overall, the story of maritime is really bringing alive. I would stop sharing my screen. I will ask AW team to share video one.
The ocean is full of inspiration. Maritime is the embodiment of everything nautical that inspired us, even the most nuanced ones. The sea voyages in the medieval era gave it the nickname the Age of Exploration. The innovative tools that help these voyages reincarnate through the designs in maritime. The elegant timepieces in the collection are embodied with fine details that narrate stories from the sea. The Voyager timepieces in the collection is inspired by the silhouette and the wooden decks of ships, which has been translated using genuine African black wood. A slight tilt of the timepiece reveals precisely machined indices shaped like the curved sails of ships. And our interpretation of the sextant, a celestial navigation tool used in the Age of Exploration, comes alive through Arc Royal. And for some of the pieces, we redefine the way people read time. The Guide timepiece, inspired by the magnetic compass, features only one rotating hand, which resembles the compass needle and shows the seconds. And on its beautiful sea green dial, there are rotating discs that tell the minute and the hour, instead of the conventional hands which make for the simplest way to read time. The Marina Bay Timepiece from the collection captures the grand waves of the ocean on its dial, which makes it a one-of-a-kind wonder. With incredibly unique design elements, we've made these timepieces almost attire agnostic, and they embody a refined sense of style.
So that was about maritime, and I'll just switch on my video. So that was about maritime, a very recent collection which we have done. So while men were exploring the sea, we thought, why not take Raga women to international travel? And this is, again, a few years back, we have done a story which is inspired from these beautiful European cities. And we realized that it comes from the insight that today's Indian women, they're traveling alone, and we've read many stories where people are, driving alone and going to exotic destinations. So we thought, why not celebrate that independent Indian woman in a great way? And this is a true reflection of what today's women is all about. So we took Raga, which is essentially a very sensual watch, to in international travel, and we got inspired from two of those really majestic and really sensual cities, which is Paris and Venice. And so this watch takes an inspiration from the very famous Notre Dame and the stained glass windows, which is the really beautiful part of the church. And we've designed in a way that it mimics that whole character, but still owns its own language. Those small units which you see on the bracelet, they are actually stained glass units, which we have got it done from a carriger's. And overall dial is made of MOP, very beautifully constructed It represents the architecture while still owns the look of Raga watch. In fact, we also got inspired from Palais Garnier, which is a very famous opera house in Paris. And people who have gone to Paris, you would definitely must have seen it. It has a very intricate detailing in terms of ceiling, the way people sit, those small units where chairs and the auditorium was set up. Everything was so majestic, and we got inspired from that and created this watch, which beautifully mimic everything what I was talking about in a bezel. And it has this unique mesh bracelet, which again got inspired from the beauty of Eiffel Tower and those microstructures of it. Uh, and obviously, we got inspired from these Venetian canals and created a very elegant piece, which subtly gives a hint of Venetian canal, but by still retaining its character. So these are the interesting inspiration we took and created a collection which is all inspired by travel, fun, and sensuality. Uh, I have a few more case studies. I'll take you through probably two more case studies, and then we can open up for questions. Another thing which is really important, which we've done in recent time, was this whole concept of introspecting time, and this is the other facet which I was talking about. Well, we have seen that in today's context, the concept of beauty has changed drastically. Beauty is no more, I would say, the extreme glossy, highly finished model look. People are perfectly fine with their imperfections. The authenticity has a very strong value now, and we're realizing that change in today's Indian women. And we thought, why not celebrate that change? Why not bring the authenticity? Because we all are imperfect people. No, none of us are perfect. Why not celebrate our imperfections, our blemishes, both personal, professional, and create something which is truly what we are? So Raga I Am was born essentially in the same insight to create or probably celebrate imperfections. And we have used, watch forms which we've never used it before. They were asymmetric, they were really organic, they were not definitely perfect. But when they come together, they form a silver, they form an overall look which is really unique to look at. And this is a true representation of Raga I Am. In fact, even we have got it done, these unique crystals from Swarovski specifically made just to create a look which is very different, unique, asymmetric, imperfect in a way, but still narrates the story of beauty, which is really true beauty. And these are some of the examples. And I'll stop sharing my screen, and I will ask ADW team to share another video.
Sleep, 4:30 wake up. Dark circles are your only makeup. Wear your scar like a gallantry star. Your bruised fingers are the talk of the nation. These twisted feet get a standing ovation. Look at your belly, so beautifully adorned. Out of these marks, human race is born. Be proud of your chest. It has won a war. Flaunt what makes you who you are. Titan Raga I Am.
So So this was about Titan Raga, which we have done again very recently, Raga IM. And I would present you my last case study, which is about, again, another facet of time, which I'm really proud of, which is, I would say, mastery of time. And what better representative of this than the whole Edge platform which Titan has. And I'm not sure how many of you are aware of Edge, but Edge is slimmest watch in the world, and it's just 4.1 mm thick, and the mechanism which drives the Edge is 1.1 mm thick. So it's that thin mechanism which drives this beautiful watch. So anything which you do around Edge on this platform is full of challenges, because what you're doing, that you're not making another watch. You're making a watch which is slimmest in the world, a watch which would probably go in the history of timekeeping. So the way we have constructed everything, the way sapphire glass has been grinded and grinded to get a thickness of just 0.3 mm, where the dial of the watch has been sliced to get a thickness of just 0.35 mm. Hands of the watch, they're probably as thin as your hair, slightly more thicker than that. And everything, I would say it all come together to form an Edge watch to get the thickness of 4.1 mm. In fact, few of the Edge watches are just 3.9 mm. So that was the beauty of this collection, and it has won us multiple awards, both really prestigious Red Dot Good Design Award, not just once but multiple times. And in fact, we've taken that whole mastery to a new level recently by launching Slimmest ceramic watch in the world. Ceramic is again a very brittle material, and there are hardly any really reputed players who are into it. Few people who are doing it, they are into extremely expensive space. So we have taken that material and crafted again a slimmest watch in the world. And it requires a very deep sense of manufacturing expertise. And we're really proud to have that, I would say, understanding of high level of design and high level of manufacturing understanding to create products like Ceramic Edge. So, and recently we have launched a really interesting colors in ceramic, and this is one of those really unique and really inspiring thing for Titan Edge. Thank you, everyone, for seeing this, and I would end this by saying one small quote, which is by Charles Buxton, that you'll never find time for anything. If you want time, you must make it. And at Titan, we are in business of making time for all of you. So thank you so much. I am open for any kind of questions that you have, if time permits. Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Mahendra Chauhan. Actually, we don't have time for questions.
Sure, perfect. Yeah.
We have many questions coming up, but we're sorry because we're running low on time.
Perfect. Yeah.
So here, I would just like to say this, that I've always been wearing Titan watches, and there was a time in childhood when I thought that Titan is actually, a name for wristwatch. So on that, it gives me an immense pleasure to say and deliver the vote of thanks from UID, Kanawati University, and ADW for this wonderful session and giving us insight on your eminent creations and process behind it. We are always excited to see your new collections, and with that, I would say my end of thank you note. Thank you, Mr.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.